I absolutely love using words and letters in my art and craft pieces, and I expect you do too, otherwise you wouldn't have clicked on the link, would you? Welcome to Friday Art. My name is Cate Field. I'm an artist, teacher and speaker, passionate about helping people to develop their creativity and find their little niche. Although I don't really have a niche because I'm interested in just about everything, which can be a bit of a problem sometimes. I hope you are well. Welcome back to all you lovely people who have been with me since February 2024 when I started this. Wow, what a journey we've been on. And if you are new here, welcome. I really hope you are going to enjoy this tutorial. I'm going to show you how we can use letters to create very personalized pieces, very unique to you, but also how we can use these to create little abstracts. And so we're going to be using them for craft and for art. And I think that's pretty good. So without me waffling on anymore, let's go. I absolutely love using typography and letters in my artwork, and there are a few books that I refer to over and over again, and I keep coming back to them. And I referred to these in a typography tutorial that I did quite a few months ago, which I will link below. I'm going to take you back to Cecil Wade. Now, I had this book when I was in art college in the 1980s. So this is like a really old book. Not only did I have it in the 1980s, but I think it was printed. Yeah, here we go. It was first published in 1950. Look at this. And this print is 1963. So it's a phenomenal book and I absolutely love it. I loved it when I was a child and then I took it to college with me. I love the way that artists over centuries have used letters in their designs. The other book that I absolutely love is the Stephen Heller Veronique Vienne book, 100 Ideas That Changed Graphic Design. Oh my goodness, it's just a phenomenal book. And there is various sections on how artists and designers have used letters in their work. And I kind of put little post-it notes because my students like to refer to these books as well. And then finally, Typography Now. Oh my gosh, I love this book. It's like, I am a bit geeky, but I do absolutely love it. And I like dipping into it. And I am forever getting ideas on how I could use letters and typography in my work, and I hope you will be inspired too. I'm going to show you some very, very simple ways that you can use typography and letters in your art and in your craft to make them very unique and very personal. We're going to do little things like this. I'm going to show you how to do those. You're going to use bits of newspaper, old books that have been water damaged. We're going to use some glue and some watercolour paints. And as we go through, I will show you the different sorts of techniques that I use. Now, I collect fonts. I really like them, as you've probably guessed. And what I've done is I've created a download. So if you want these, they're free and they're just in the description. So these are the fonts that I use quite regularly in my work, and I print them out and I will use them. Sometimes I create stencils from them, but today what I'm going to do is to choose a couple of my favourite ones. We're going to use this font and this one, and I've just printed them out larger, sort of expanded them a little bit. And these are the ones that I'm going to use. But first of all, we're going to create the background. And I'm just going to use an ordinary glue stick. This is very cheap. How I use my glue stick, because I don't know about you, but I just get in a right old mess with glue. And so I get a bit of scrap paper. Nothing really gets thrown away in my house. I've divided my page in my sketchbook. I like working in a sketchbook, and this, very excitingly, is a brand new one. Yay! So, started the page. Just going to bring that up just a little bit so you can see. The page is divided into 6. You use whatever you want. Now, I do recommend you use a sketchbook if you are kind of quite serious about your artwork and you want to keep your ideas together, because it's a very good way of tracking your progress. So what we're going to do is going to work in this section here. Just going to move that down again now. Some of my old scraps of paper. Got some lovely old bookshops and charity shops near to where I live, and quite often they get books that are damaged and things like that, and so I get hold of those. So I've got a scrap of paper, bit of glue on the back, and then what we're going to do is to just start to put the paper into the space. And you can do this however you want, really. You can, put the text upside down, sideways. So I'll do a little bit of sideways one there, because it's just going to create this lovely textured background, which I really like. I think it works very well. So I'm just going to add, there we go, a little bit by a little bit. Just going to pop that there. Let's pop that one there, which I really like. There we go. And then we can put another bit on here. Try not to get distracted by the text. And that often happens when I'm using magazines with my students. I suddenly find that they're not doing any work at all because they're all reading the magazines. Which can be quite funny, because quite often my magazines are like about gardening or that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's lovely. It's very funny. So anyway, we've got that there. Now I'm going to do the letter B. There are various different ways that you can transfer the letter on. Now obviously you could just cut out the shape and put it on there, but that's not what we're going to do at this time. I'm going to use some old-fashioned carbon paper. Now, those of you who remember typewriters will know that if you wanted to duplicate the thing that you were typing, you had to put carbon paper between the copies of the paper. I mean, honestly, I honestly found I seem very, very old, but I love it. It's brilliant. You could also use tracing paper. I'm going to put my letter, and I'm going to put my letter, slightly wonky. That's sort of coming off. Put it over the top of the carbon paper, and then you just draw around the shape. Easy peasy. Of course you could do it freehand, and sometimes I will, well, frequently I will do freehand. But I wanted to show you this because some people think that because they have this idea that they can't draw, that you can't create art. I'm going to do that. Doesn't matter a bit coming out here because we're going to do a border. So there is my letter B sitting there quite happily. I'm now going to use my watercolours. Now these are the Analinky Vibrant ones. I've put a link below. I'm not sure that they're available in the United States, but I have found an alternative, so I have put that down as well. But you use whatever you want. I'm just going to pop these here just so that you can see. I'm going to continue this kind of green sort of moss idea with a little bit of brown. I want these to be quite neutral, these first two. Now I'm using a flat end brush so that I can get to the edges. Just a little bit of water, not too much. Just let me just show you here, mixing these bits like that. Doesn't matter if it goes over the edges a little bit. There we go. Like that. that. Not quite sure who Brian is. That's quite funny. Again, that's me getting distracted. Let's pop that there. Like that. Let's just do those. And that's the next one. I'm going to do a couple more and then I'll come back and show you what we do next. So I'm just going to do my last one here, my letter E. And I decided to just use these neutral colours on this page, which I do like. I love my brights and my neons, of course, but I do also like the subtlety of a neutral colour. There you go. So how are you? I really hope you're well. A bit of a weather update. Obviously, we are in the English summer, so it's completely unpredictable. And we've had some absolutely beautiful days of blue sky and, oh, just lovely stuff like that. But we've also had lots of rain as well. So I just thought, you know, I know that many of you will tell me what the weather is like all over the world, which is really lovely. So, okay, these ones are dry. I'll leave that one to dry. That won't take very long at all. And what we're going to do now is to do a little bit of decoration around the outside of the letter, just to sort of bring it up a bit. I'm just going to use a marker pen. You could use like a Sharpie or a black felt tip pen or something like that. You know, it doesn't need to be anything fancy at all. And what we're going to do is just going to start off by going around the outline, just sort of quite carefully. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect, because this is my sketchbook, and my sketchbook is a place for experimenting. So I'm just going to put that there like that. You could use a fine liner pen as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to break up some of the space. Now I am going to use a thinner pen. Let me just get my, this is a 0.8 fine liner pen, but again, you could use whatever you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start to put, now this is quite, you know, this is a very thin pen, so I'm just going to put some lines, just sort of breaking up the spaces outside of the letter. So this is called the negative space, with the letter being the positive space. And I like playing with this kind of idea because I think you can get some really interesting effects. So I'm just going to put that line in there. I'm still sticking with black. Still going to keep this idea of the black lines. These ones are slightly more wiggly. These ones in the middle there. And I think continuing that idea of a wiggly line, I'm going to put in some little kind of like very wiggly scribbles in this space, because you see it just sort of breaks up the space and you end up with a bit of texture over the top of the text that's already there. And I like this idea. I like sort of bringing out this negative space that is often just sort of overlooked in compositions. Now you might be thinking, right, what am I going to do with these? And obviously when we start using letters and words, we can start making things very, very personal. And one of the things that I do like to do is to create journals and, you know, art journals and that kind of thing, and little mini sketchbooks. And, you know, I will put a design like this on the front of one of my sketchbooks, and I will show you that in a moment. We're going to move on to the letter B. This time I'm going to use a white pen, and I'm just going to do the marks first, and then I'm going to do the black outline. So this is a white acrylic pen. You might not be able to see that very clearly. It's a little bit more subtle. Let's just do this down here like that. Just a little. Again, it's that sort of mark making. And if you haven't seen my mark making tutorials, you might like to have a look at that as well. So again, I'm just sort of doing little kind of scribbly bits on the outside here, breaking up that space like that. And then let's just go over the edges of that bee like that. And I'm really liking how these are turning out. Now, the other thing that I like to do is to go around the edges of my boxes. Now, you could use a ruler. You could go around it with a straight line, but you know, I like a bit of freehand. I like the slightly wobbly edges. I think that they can look very effective. But if you're the sort of person who likes a straight line, then you do that. It's your work. Again, don't worry about finishing things off necessarily, because this is a sketchbook. I'm going to add a few more bits and pieces on here, just to show you how I'll finish off this page, which won't be finished because it's a work in progress. And then I'm going to go on to the next design that we're going to do with letters. So I'm just going to interrupt my own tutorial here to tell you about Open Studio, which is my membership on YouTube. You can just click the join and that will take you through to the details. Now, I've only just started this quite recently. This is August 2024. You might be watching this way into the future, but you might not. You might be watching it today. But if you haven't joined and you think you might like to, then take a look, because I'll be offering different things every month, and there'll be all sorts of different features and bits and pieces like that. So you might want to check that out. Right, let's get back to work. So these designs are finished off. This is the little book that I made. This is my little sketchbook. Now this is a pop-up explosion book that I started a couple of weeks ago. If you didn't see the tutorial on how to make these, then check that out. I'll pop that in the description as well. But you can see you can use this kind of idea to create some very, very interesting designs. Right, the next bit we're going to do some more kind of abstract type ideas. We're going to use carbon paper again, and we're going to use some more letters. And I've sort of cut out some, just they're a little bit bigger. And with my carbon paper, the lovely thing about carbon paper is you can use it over and over again. Now, I bought a pack probably about 10 years ago. I'm still using it. It's an amazing thing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my carbon paper over the top of my square, and then I'm just going to put my letter kind of just so that it's a bit wonky, and we're just going to use part of the letter. And again, you could do this freehand if you wanted to. And when I sort of develop my ideas, then I will quite often just do them freehand. But yeah, this is just like an experiment. Think of it as an experiment. So let's go to do that there. And then I've got my M coming out here, and I can see that I've just sort of missed a little bit there, but that's fine. We can just pop that in there. And so we've got this space filled with what we know is the letter M. But when we start to abstract it, it becomes all sorts of weird things. And I'm going to do the same for some of the other letters. And I'm going to combine some letters as well. So I'm just using the letter shapes to create an abstract piece that I can then, if I like the idea, develop them a little bit more. And you can do this with, you know, lots of different types of letters. I've got my sort of typewriter ones, which I do like these. I think they work really well. Let's just do a bit of that E. Let's just pop that on there like that. Let's just get a little bit of that. So I hope you're getting some ideas, things that you might like to do, sort of things that you could decorate. So I'm going to pop that E there, and let's do the same letter. Let's continue with that E, but just pop it down here at this, in this corner. And this is a really good way if you're kind of new to creating abstract art. You know, it's a really good way for you to sort of practice and try out new things. So you can see, let me just pop that on there. Yeah, I need to just pick another little bit up. Right. Just to sort of try out things, really. You don't be scared of trying out something new. Just put that in there. Just sort of, I'm doodling. That's what I'm doing. I'm doodling. I'm going to do a few more, and then I'm going to come back and show you what we can do next. So I've done some more here. This is very messy. Every piece of artwork that you do will probably go through a messy phase, and that's fine. It's absolutely normal. So yeah, it all looks a bit of a mess. What we're going to do now, I'm going to use some acrylic pens. I'm going to use these colours plus black. I'm going to start off with this one here and just go around the edges of the letter. We know it's the letter. Like this. Just so that we have that space. Now I'm just going to go around the whole lot in the purple, actually. Again, you can use a ruler to do this, or you can do it freehand, so it all goes a little bit wobbly, but that's okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to block out this bit. So you could use felt tip pens here, marker pens. If you're using marker pens and Sharpies, put a sheet of paper underneath so it doesn't bleed through like that. It's just, you could also use acrylic paint, or you could use your watercolours as well. But I just want to create a block of colour in that bit there. Oh, like that. And then, oh, where's the lid gone? Here we go. I'm going to keep that purple outline. I'm going to go in with this colour. So this will be the complementary colour to the purple. Complementary colours that are opposite side of the colour wheel. Let me just do this. And just, you know, do it quite quickly. Remember, this is your sketchbook. You're just trying out an idea, seeing what could be fun, what would work. You say this pen is running out. Oh, that's all right. Doesn't matter. You kind of, I think I'm going to have to redo that one, but that's okay. Gives me an idea of what colours are going to work, and I know that I like this colour combination. Actually, I'm just going to scribble that on. That's fine. I'm going to block that out with my new pen when I get it. So that's that one. I will come back to that. Let's have a look at this one. I'm thinking that I want to put some more in this space here, and I've got the bottom bit of the letter A, So I'm just going to pop in the top bit of that letter A. And what I'm doing is just sort of looking at how it fits in the space. You know, a couple of people have asked me about composition and how do you know which bit to put where, and it's an art rather than a science, isn't it? And what is appealing to some people might not be appealing to somebody else. And with composition, there are some rules. I'm just going to put in a bit of block pink here. Again, this is very messy. I'm not kind of finishing this off at this stage. Just putting it across there, because what I'm doing is playing with an idea of the shapes and how they might work. Might go back in with my purple. Ring around that edge there. You know, and I want you to see me doing this sort of the messy stuff, because quite often when I've been teaching, people will look at my work, you know, my finished pieces, and they go, oh my gosh, you know, it looks lovely, I'm never going to be able to do that. And of course it's not true. You are going to be able to do it. And what you don't see is all the things that went wrong. So those of you who watched my tutorial in Doodle Club, I think it was Doodle Club, will see me make the mistake where, yeah, and I didn't even notice I'd made the mistakes. That was quite funny. Because we're human beings, aren't we? You're human beings. And you can't create art unless you make mistakes. And it's part of the process. And the process is really important. Really, really important. I'm just going to do a few little scribbly bits on here. Now, I am going to show you at the end how I'd sort of do some finishing off pieces that don't look like a complete mess like these do. But I think it's really important that you see the messy stage. I'm playing around with a few more ideas, thinking what I might do in some of the backgrounds, thinking about what colours I could use, and just, again, just playing. And play is such a crucial part of creating art. There we go, like that, which kind of leads me on to the book that I'm writing, which I've been writing for a long time, and I've actually come to the end. So I'm at the bit where I'm editing and doing that bit, really, which I have to say is the boring bit. But the whole point of the book is about play and about how important it is to make sure that we allow ourselves to play. Not just to create art, but just in our lives, really. and it's something that I encourage all of my students to do. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because I teach little ones as well. I don't have to encourage them to play because they just do it. They just play. And I love it. But as we get older, we kind of stop doing these things. And I think that's a bit sad. So, yeah, so that's what my book is about. There we go. Let's just do... I like this colour combination. I think is working well. Quite like it just plain, but also might try different marks on it as well. And I think I will do a watercolour one on one of those as well, just so I can just see the different effects, trying them out. Yeah, just sort of putting this in quite quickly, not worrying too much if it goes over the edges and things like that, because that is not the point. The point is to try things out. So let's have a go at putting a bit of watercolour on here. Now, depending on your paper, you are going to need to be a bit careful if your paper isn't robust. I'm keeping it to this sort of blues, purple, green type effect. A bit of water. Again, I'm just going to keep those shapes on this one. So I'm just doing the negative space or the background. Just with this. I do love this purple. It's very, very vibrant. Sort of very bluey, blue purple. There we go. So try out different colours. Could keep it to black and white. That would look good as well. So in your sketchbook, you could have 2, 3, 4 pages of ideas, which you could then develop further into your art and or your craft projects. I'm liking that idea. I'm just going to try something else here. I'm going to take that's green and make it quite wet. And I'm going to go right over the top with this one. Quite watery. So I do have that as the whole background. And again, quite doing it quickly, otherwise the paper will go bobbly. Just going to leave it like that. Leave that to dry and then do something over the top of it. So I've started to play around with some ideas on these ones. I love dots and circles. I do like them. If you use acrylic pens, you can wait for it to dry and then go over the top. These are like little notes on a stave. That was quite fun. There some more dots down on this one as well. Let's just put those in. Dots can really kind of break up the space, add some texture, add some interest, and add a bit of fun, actually, which I think is really nice. I like that. With this one, I redid the green, and then I've just put some sort of contour lines. So I'm now going to work on this one here. I'm going to do the outline in pink, and I will then go over it again in black. But just going to have like a pink line. And I would really encourage you to try out different things. Don't worry about whether it's going to work or not, because this is the whole point, is you're trying things out, and some things you'll like and some things you think, nah, that's really not going to work at all. So I just want to add this kind of little pinkish edge to the letter, like this. Just again, so I just have a bit of a hint. We'll leave that to dry. It only takes a minute or so, but you do need to do that. Now this was the watercolour, and I'm going to just put some lines over the top of the watercolour, sort of like contour lines. So I think they can look quite fun, that kind of thing. But you do your own thing. That is the whole point. I don't want you to be just copying mine or anybody's really. You take an idea and then you do your own thing. We are always influenced by the work of others, and it's when we just do our own take on what somebody else has done, then that's wonderful. Like that. There's been a couple of lovely people on YouTube who also create art who have taken some of my ideas and done their own thing with it, and obviously they reference me, and that's just lovely. So I like that. I think that's working really well. This one, let's make sure we've got that in view. I'm going to use my brush acrylic, and I'll list all of the products in the description. This is going to be quite a long description on this tutorial. But if you are interested, then I'll show you. There we go. And I just like the shape of letters. They're wonderful. And I was doing this in a class probably 2 years ago now, and yeah, maybe that. And we had students from China, and they were using Chinese pictorial language and letters, and the words that the Chinese use. Oh my goodness, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing what they did. I'm just going to pop a few dots down on this, like that. Again, it's still a little bit messy. There's things to do on here, but it's coming together. I'm getting some thoughts, some ideas, things that I might use. And I hope you are too. I hope you're getting some good ideas. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what your weather's doing. Always like a weather update. There you go. Like that. So there we are. Created these sort of more neutral ones using the outline of the letters, and then a more abstract one. And then I thought I would show you some of the things that I've done where I've used letters and the sort of different sort of mark making and things like that in some of my other work, and just you see how expressive you can be. I like in this one, there's just lots of things going on here, but with the idea that you can just use some text and the shapes of the letters themselves. I really hope you enjoyed that tutorial and that you've got lots of ideas of things that you can do with your own work. And if you haven't liked and subscribed and all of that kind of stuff, then please do that, because it really helps me to grow the channel and to kind of spread the word about this wonderful creative world that we live in. And if you'd like to join the Facebook group, the link is below. And if you'd like to join Open Studio, then that's in the link below as well. And I'll see you next time. Oh, and if you want to see some more, look at this one or that one. Bye bye.